Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's midday Western U.S. regional forecast video brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. Well, first, a quick apology. I'm sorry that the video is coming out a bit late to you. My flight last night didn't get in until very early in the morning. I was flying home from Spokane, Washington, talking to a wheat growers association there. Had a great time, but flying back east got me in late. When I got home, I found out I had one broken server and my microphone was broken from yesterday. So I got everything fixed, and I'm looking forward to giving you an update. So let's get right to it. The map you've been looking at here in the background goes from the beginning of this year just until 2 days ago. And what you're looking at is the anomalous, so this is different from normal, the anomalous flow in the low level of the atmosphere. And you can see the problem that we've been having. So if you just look at these arrows, we can see that this has been the flow just to the west of California, just to the west of the United States, sitting in the Central Pacific Ocean. That has been that high pressure cell we've been talking about so often. So our flow has been coming in like this from the northwest, bringing in the moisture, giving the northwest the moisture that it has been receiving. But the hard turn here has prevented, well, what we need for California. And I just want to show you what the atmosphere has been doing. By the way, over here coming out of the Gulf of Mexico, the flow has been doing something like this, which is why that region has been so exceptionally wet. So year to date, so starting at the beginning of the year going to just yesterday, we have, well, in this section of the country, anywhere between 150 and 300% normal precipitation, but that split flow has really soaked the northwest into the Rocky Mountains here, but it has avoided, because of that high pressure cell, bringing in the moisture that we need into California. And it's just another point to make here, but we're trying to diagnose and learn from this situation that we've been in here since the start of the new year. So give you another update here on just the basin average snow water content. Again, we're still 50 to 70% in the Sierra Nevada, while much of the west is sitting anywhere between 80 and 120% on snowfall. So this pattern has largely just avoided California and Nevada. Outside of that, almost all the other locations have received quite a bit of snowfall. Our latest drought monitor has increased the area there in California. Also in the Four Corners states, it's increased the area, and we've also now seen the addition here of this black line in parts of the Pacific Northwest, denoting that that drought there has a longevity to it. In other words, it is likely going to be a permanent feature that we'll be dealing with through spring as well. Now, over the next 10 days, I don't have much good news in terms of bringing in a lot of excess precipitation. We're looking here at the European ensemble forecast for the next 10 days, which gets us out to March 2nd. And we still continue to see that the flow pattern is setting up this section of the country quite dry. And we need to be talking about why and if anything's going to be changing, because we had been watching, remember, that second week of March as kind of a glimmer of hope in terms of increasing precipitation. In the near term, we're keeping a close eye on two things to finish this week. One is a cutoff low that will be sneaking through California, and the second is this wave that toward the end of the weekend will be coming into the Pacific Northwest. Those two waves actually come together in the middle part of the country next week, creating some problems. But those are the two main features I'm watching right now, and let's get right into it and take a look at when they're going to arrive here. So this animation shows us that by early tomorrow morning on Saturday, throughout midday on Saturday, the cutoff low moves through parts of California. We'll stop it right here. We'll say that sometime around, gosh, this may be early morning hours on Saturday, the rain comes in. Could get some snow down here in this part of the Sierra Nevada. Very light rain overall with this system as it plows on through with that cutoff flow over into Arizona. Now into Arizona, New Mexico, and toward the Four Corners region, this is where we could be picking up quite a bit of snowfall in the mountains here and quite a bit of precipitation to the south of it. So that seems to be the pattern of things as they move through on Saturday, getting into Sunday. Now Sunday, we see the second system coming into the Pacific Northwest. That was that other wave I had showed you just a few moments ago. And to kind of see where that one's going to go, let's switch over to the European model. We'll start this off and pause it right there. So this is valid Sunday morning. Here we go. And on Sunday morning, we can see that that low is pushing through, giving us Sunday afternoon and evening some higher elevation snow, but quite a bit of rain here coming into parts of coastal Oregon and Washington. And that system again slides through the mountains here, so bringing in the snow behind it as we work through our way on Monday into early Tuesday morning. Now after this, what we're going to notice here is that systems are going to push up into British Columbia. High pressure cells sitting right into this area through the end of next week. This is Wednesday night, getting into Thursday morning. What we don't see are any more large low pressure systems coming in and hitting the northwest. Now I'm gonna go ahead and show you the operational model run, but I want everyone to be very aware that when we get out here past about a week with any operational model run, our limits of predictability are limited, and we're going to start to see accuracy drop off. But you see how the high in the operational run by next Friday afternoon moves it over here? Okay, what that might possibly mean, if that does occur, is that we could get another system that runs around the periphery for next weekend. Now, this is not this coming weekend, but next weekend, the 29th, that comes into the Pacific Northwest. And if that high-pressure cell does stay in this area, now, again, this is a big if, and we're looking at a single model run, so we got to be careful here. We should be watching out for another system next weekend to come right into the Northwest and possibly dive clear far south to Arizona and California. It'll be right here. That'll be the one that we'll be watching. Of course, this is just one model run, and therefore the ensembles may not be showing the same thing. So we look out over the next 7 days, our cutoff low that comes into parts of Southern California here, generally dropping anywhere between 1/10 of an inch and then some elevation dependent higher amounts, particularly the mountains surrounding the LA basin down here might be picking up upwards of over 1 inch to 1.5 inches of precipitation. So this is not the big rainmaker that the southern half of California needs. Outside of that, it's the weekend system that comes in here producing the rainfall that you see and some snow at higher elevation. So we could be picking up at the highest elevations in the Cascade Mountains here, upwards of 12 to 24 inches. Part of the Rockies here, the northern Rockies, may get another 6 to 12 in that area as well. But still, it's going to be that cutoff low that brings up our snowfall amounts in the Four Corners states, but doesn't do much to California in the meantime here. So I want to talk temperatures before we go longer term here. Let's just step through the next several days, keeping a close eye on how cold things are getting in parts of California here. These are going to be overnight low temperatures. So this is Saturday's low, so tomorrow morning. As we work our way into Sunday and into Monday, this is where we're going to watch a deeper trough become established here. If that system comes out of the northwest and dives down here into the mountains, you'll see that pushes cold air across the rest of the U.S. But in general, we aren't deviating too much from normal across the western part of the United States in terms of our temperatures. I got you all the way out to next Thursday. So we can summarize that by taking a look at these maps. Over the next 5 days, while the southeast and the southern states are showing up cool, we actually see a slight warm bias here across the west coast. That continues day 5 through 10, and that's as this ridge develops into this area, that's what we would expect the temperatures to do in response. So I don't see any major frost threat, abnormal frost threat, especially for the state of California as we work our way here into the 2nd of March. To look longer term, though, I want you to notice that as we work our way out to that time period, the 2nd of March, we do see that that ridge, the one we've been talking about, is pushing into this area. So the flow has to go around this ridge. And as a consequence, that is just a setup for much of the western part of the United States to be dry. Remember, for this to really work for California, we would wanted to see that flow come way out like this and then turn back around, but it's not yet quite into that configuration. So with that, looking out day 10 through 15 on temperatures, we don't see much of a change overall in our temperature picture here. But still, with the flow doing this, some cooler weather could be moving in here into the Intermountain West, but not along the West Coast. So here's where the story begins to get, in my opinion, interesting. I've seen this ridge, by the time we get to about the 7th of March, start to move back this direction in the ensembles. Now, this would be consistent with the fact that downstream here over Greenland, I have not yet seen a pattern change, and the polar vortex is still quite strong, which is keeping this trough in place. Now, if this occurs, and we start to bring a trough into this area, this could be what we would need to get March 7th through the 14th showing up on the wetter side of things. And the latest, this is brand new, just released last night, the latest longer range European outlook here for that time period, the 7th through the 14th, is actually showing up with some positive anomalies here in California. Now, it's very difficult for me to be overly confident about this because this would be a pretty substantial pattern breakdown, which means we're going to have to just watch it carefully. This is still several, gosh, this is 3.5 weeks away from us here, but we're going to watch it carefully to see if this manifests itself. Again, that flow pattern, wanting to do something a bit more like this, which could really help us out in the state of California. It's not the miracle March we've been talking about, but it's better than what we have been seeing. But if you just stretch out the model through the entirety of the month of March, the models just can't seem to let go of that ridge. Therefore, I'm expecting drier than average conditions throughout much of the month in the Pacific Northwest. What I mean by that is instead of getting 3, 4, or 5 onshore flow events each week, we may be cutting that back to maybe 1 or 2. So it's not as though there isn't any precipitation, it's just drier than normal. And again, we're going to watch March 7th through the 14th to possibly help out parts of California. Now the models are picking up on this pattern. Still the ridge is going to sit somewhere here, but all of the snowpack in the west is sensibly cooling the lower atmosphere, which is what's helping the development of a broader trough in this area. Now if that occurs, that could, like I said, really help out our water situation in California. It is not going to end our drought problems, but it is better than going the entire month of March with nothing. But if this flow continues to do this and a ridge builds over the southeast, well, this is almost a carbon copy of May of 2019. So we need to see if this pattern is going to change as we work our way into spring for the rest of the United States. But I want to give you that update here on what we're anticipating for the rest of the month. All right, have a great weekend. We'll talk to you again on Monday. Thank you.